Hi everyone, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to say one thing really quick before I say anything else. I am testing out a new internet provider. So if it happens to be lagging or the voice is behind the video or anything like that, please let me know. If we get cut off, just look back on my channel because I'll just get on with my old one because I did keep the old one, so I can just go to that if I need to. So I just wanted to tell you guys that if this chat for some reason cuts us off, I'll get right back on, and it'll probably be a new video link, but I will get right back on. Who knows? It could just be here too. Could just pop right back up. But anyway, I wanted to let you know that that before I got started. But if you're new here, let me just tell you that this is a sewing and crafting channel, and I have been sewing for 60 years. Started sewing when I was 5 years old. I've been crafting probably most of my life, and what I like to do during chats, sometimes I have a topic, sometimes I don't. Today I have basically a sort of an open sharing forum today. I wanted to share some tips and have you do the same. What's your favorite quick tip, something that might benefit other people, especially when it comes to things like newer things that are new that people are just starting to do, like projector sewing and well, it isn't new, but it's new to me, embroidery machine use, and or just plain old, you know me, I'll probably definitely have to throw something about the hump jumper in there because you know how I am about that. But let me just tell you, please share, and we will hopefully all leave this chat with armed with some new things to try. All right, let me pull up comments so I can see who's here. Hi Elizabeth, Diane, Jean, Dolores, Christine. Hi Daisy, Diana. Oh, Zella, you're in West Michigan. I'm in Southeast Michigan. Elizabeth and Ivy's here. Good to see everyone. Thank you so much. And I'm sure there's some who haven't chimed in, but please feel free to do so. We're a really nice bunch of people, can I just say? And everyone here is treated with the utmost respect by everyone. I don't think we've ever had anybody not be nice. So don't be afraid to, if you're not one who normally posts things in a chat, this would be a good first one because it's very accepting here. All right, so let's just start by just sharing. Throw out there your favorite tip. Might even be one that's maybe seems obvious to you, but maybe wouldn't be obvious to everyone else. I've got a couple in mind, but I'd like you guys to start first. Hi Dolores, good to see you. So if anybody can throw one out there, I'll start, okay? I'm gonna have to grab something for it. I should have grabbed it before I sat down. And I bumped my camera. Sorry about that. So if you have a Cricut and you also sew with a projector, let me give you a quick tip for checking your calibrations super quick. Okay, let me explain what goes on at my house. I have a cutting surface on top of my cutting table, and so I don't need a cutting mat, but it has inch markings on it. However, when my projector projects, this is like a translucent frosted kind of thing, and it the projector doesn't focus on it, so the projector stuff is real fuzzy on it. So I have to put a piece of paper or something down to check it. Now when I did my calibrations, I used my other mat that I have, and went through all the steps. This is not to substitute for your initial calibration. This is for a quick check, which I always do at least twice or so when I'm cutting something out. I always do it just to make sure I didn't bump any settings or the zoom or anything like that. So I always do it before I start cutting things out, and I always do it maybe halfway through just to make sure, because that would be horrible. So I use my Cricut mat. It's got your inch markings. It shows up on the projector. Projector focuses on this. It's quick to grab, and they're hanging right across the room. So this is a quick tip I have, is if you have a Cricut mat, or even if you don't have a Cricut, it's a, I don't know, you can get the cheap ones on Amazon for like $5 a piece. So that would be something you could grab, lay it down, make sure your inch is your inch, or if they give you a 2x2, make sure 2x2 is really 2x2, and you're good to go. So that's something that, that's one quick tip. So, all right, let's see if, oh, hi Heather, I'm so glad you're here. Your first time to get to join the fun. I hope this will be a fun one. We're sharing favorite sewing tips, crafting tips, whatever that might be. Okay, Daisy May looks like she has a tip for us. I have experienced this painfully, mostly with crafts, but the same would apply in sewing. If you're not using a pattern, don't skimp on the fabric. Oh, so true. A little bit too less is a lot of pain. You are so right. How many people, can we do a show of hands? Just everybody just say me if you've done this, where you cut everything out and you don't have enough for the sleeves. I've done that more times than I can tell you. That's a wonderful tip, Daisy. Wonderful. Okay, Ivy's got a tip. Here, I'm going to actually put these up. Let me make sure it's coming up. All right. Ivy says she can sew for a longer time when sitting in a good chair and standing frequently to stretch. Personally, I stand up to iron to get me up off the chair more often. Yes, that's really good too. I will often, I iron right on my cutting table. I showed you in the last video that I have a portable ironing board up here. I also, if I have to use two machines for anything, sometimes I will thread top stitching thread for jeans in another sewing machine and just put it on top of the cutting table and then set it up to stand and sew, which, I can use a start stop button or just, stand and use the foot pedal, and that really helps my back a lot. It's just to stand for part of it. All right, who else has got a tip? Let's see. I was hoping everybody'd have a bunch here. A lot of them you saw in my sewing space video, but one thing I do, this is a psych yourself out one, but when you have to get the seam ripper out, okay, if it's late at night and you think, oh, I've just sewn too long, I'm too tired, I'm just going to put it up and go to bed. Rip it out before you go to bed, or before you sew the next time. Because if you don't, you're going to always think, oh, I have to sit and rip that out before I can start sewing again. So that is one thing that would be really important for your psyche, I don't know if any of you guys, but I get psyched out by stuff like that, and then I just gotta go to bed. But I make myself, before I go to bed, rip it out, no matter how long it is. I rip it out so that I'm just ready to sew the next day. It really does a lot. it helps me get back to it quicker. Okay, Ivy says she stands to sew also. Pockets are facing. Let me see what that one was. Or, oh, you don't have enough for sleeves, or pockets are facing. Yeah, that happens. I was cutting a Whistler out, and the worst part about it was that it was a fabric that a company had sent me for a review. I was never able to do I did on their other video, on their other fabric that they sent, but I wasn't able to include that piece of fabric in my review because I cut a Whistler, a Love Notions Whistler, and then did not have enough fabric to cut the sleeves. Not my brightest moment. So I should have chosen another pattern because that one takes a lot more fabric than, like, if I would have done a classic tee or something like that, it would have been much, much easier. All right. Any other tips? I like to clean my iron often. And so I will buy the iron cleaner and do it every now and then. But for in between times, if you use a dryer sheet and just put it on your ironing board and go over it with your iron, it'll really help that iron continue to glide. So that's another tip. So I want to apologize for yesterday and having to postpone. I decided I needed to get new. I was paying way too much for my cell phone and my internet, so I decided to go try another company who is closer to where I am. And how do I say this? So I got my cell phone originally when I lived 40 miles away from here. And it was another 10 miles south of where I lived, where the office was, where I went to get it. Well, it was Spectrum. Okay, Spectrum doesn't have anything up here. And so if I needed to go, I would either have to drive all the way to Ann Arbor or all the way to Bowling Green, and that's really far. So the other day we had a cell tower that was out, and only certain people were affected by it because not all the carriers use all the towers. Well, it wiped out about half of my city, and I kept trying to do the online chat because I still had my Wi-Fi, and I would get on my chat and with a representative and go back and forth, and they just kept asking me what my address was. They just did not understand what I was saying, and they kept saying there are no outages, there are no outages. But on Facebook there was a whole community group where everybody was saying they had no cell service. So, but I didn't like that they wouldn't confirm to me that I didn't have service. So I decided I needed to switch and go with a company that I could drive to and show them what was going on. So that's what I did. Hello, Hexe from Germany. Nice to see you. All right, Diane, you have a tip here. I find if I use my blind hem foot for top stitching, ooh, it's so much more consistent. What a great idea. Because it kind of holds conforms to the curves. Yeah, wonderful. Wonder tape. Yes, ma'am. Wonder tape. And I think I shared this before, but it might be worth mentioning here. Let me grab some of it. I like to make my own stay tape. This is all I have left. I need to go buy some. This is EK 130 Pellon, and I just cut it into strips like this, 1-inch strips. When I get to the, it's the end of one, I just overlap them a slight bit and keep going. And, you know, I do all my hems with that, especially my tops and dresses. I normally would do that. And if it's something that needs a 1/2 inch, then I would just cut this down the middle with a rotary cutter. And as long as you cut them precise, it'll help keep your hem nice and neat. And a bag of knit stay tape, I think I've seen them anywhere from $10 to $20. I've seen them as much as $20. And EK 130 Pellon it's knit interfacing is what it is. It is, well, right now it's on sale at Joann for $3.74 a yard. But normally I think it's around $6 or $7. So, I mean, and you can get out of a yard, you can get, yards and yards and yards of 1-inch strips. So that's, and you don't have to do it on the bias, just make sure the stretch is going, that's a little piece of 1/2 inch. Make sure the stretch is going this way. And you'll be all set. I need to cut some more, so, but anyway. Yes, how did you ever get by without Wonder Tape? I love it. And I also like Steam-A-Seam. It's real similar to Wonder Tape, but it has a little fusible, that's really good for sticking down bias tape before you sew it. It really works really well. All right, so that's another tip I have. I'm sure you guys have some more. So what are you sewing this week? We can talk about that too. This week I am still working on the reading pillows, which we will have a Merry Monday on that soon. This week's Merry Monday is going to be an apron. And I haven't decided how I'm going to bedazzle it yet, whether I'm going to use embroidery or heat transfer vinyl. I'm kind of leaning toward heat transfer vinyl because I feel like on an apron it'd be a lot easier to wipe off heat transfer vinyl than to launder embroidery. So I'm going towards doing a heat transfer vinyl apron for my granddaughter. She's loves to cook, and she loves the Gilmore's girl. I can't talk today. The Gilmore Girls. So I intend to make her a Luke's Diner apron, and she doesn't know it, but she's getting cake decorating lessons from me as her birthday present. So I'm going to give that sort of as a package, the apron and the classes. So that's going to be fun, and I may sign up for the class myself and do it with her. I think it would be a lot of fun. I plan to take you, if I do the heat transfer vinyl, whatever I do, I plan to take you through the computer part of it, or if it's the Cricut, I usually use my iPad for that. I'll do a screenshot of what I do in Cricut Design Space, show it going through the machine, show it going on the heat press, and then that way you can see a heat transfer vinyl process. If you've never done it, it could be very basic for someone, or if you have done it before, but it could help spur some ideas on people who do that. It could spur a lot of ideas. Working on a melody dolman. Ooh, I love that pattern. One of these days, I'm going to do a melody dolman lengthened into a summer robe. I think that would be a great summer robe. Okay, Dolores had a tip and I missed it. You guys, if I miss a tip, point it out to me. I use a piece of painter's tape to easily identify the back of my cut out pieces. That is a great tip. I use painter's tape now, but I could just reuse the piece I have on my fabric. But you know how you have your fabric and you try to pre-wash it before you put it in your wherever you store it, but you don't always get to it. So what I do is I put a piece of painter's tape on one of the inside folds, and then I know it's been washed. because you can smell, and sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't, because sometimes they smell really nice without being washed. And so that's what I do. Another thing I use painter's tape for is with my projector. If I'm repositioning something, let's say that a pant leg doesn't fit on the table and I have to scoot it up and scoot up the pattern, I will put a piece of painter's tape on one of the lines somewhere, like length and shorten line or grain line or anything. Well, it has to be something going across, but I'll find something and put tape there and then scoot it up, and then I know when I move that up that I'm doing it in the precise place. So that works too. Oh, cotton lawn is wonderful. Joey, Merry Monday is what I started last week. There are 20 Mondays. Well, now there's 19 Mondays, with Christmas being the 20th Monday. So I started it last week. Every Monday I'm going to be putting up a video that has something we can do for Christmas, whether it be a gift idea or a decor. I think I'll be bringing in a lot more of that as we go. Or as we get it closer, I'll also bring in holiday fashion. And it'll be something that you can use to gift somebody or for your house or whatever. And I think it'll help us get started. That's my goal, that it will help me get started on Christmas, because I always say I'm going to, and then I end up not doing it, and I end up sewing like a madman in December, and that's not what I want to do. So that's Merry Monday. And the first one was last week. Yes, that is a wonderful tip about the painter's tape. Peel and stick double-sided tape for binding quilts. That's a great idea too, Sharon. I love that. That's great. So let's see. I don't know how much has been leaked about new patterns that I don't know how much Tammy said I haven't seen. But there's some cool new patterns coming up in the near future at Love Notions, so you're going to stay tuned for that. And I know I said I was going to put that Bondi shirt up quickly, but I haven't gotten to upload that video yet. Painter's tape is good for everything. I have some on here, and I have some in my utility room too. It's great. Yeah, it's great for straight lines. You can use it for, if you're top stitching long straight lines too, you can just butt it up next to where, and sew next to it. It works really well too. So, how about putting a button on? So you mark your buttons, but you get it under the machine, and you put your little button foot that goes back and forth and sews the button on. And you slide it up under there, but then the button slips out and it doesn't stay where you want it, or the holes move diagonally. Doesn't. So what I do is I'll place the button and put a piece of Scotch tape over it, and then I just sew through the Scotch tape back and forth, and then when I'm done with the button, I just rip the Scotch tape off. So that's another tip. Tape is really handy. Hi, Kathy Ann. It's so good to see you. You have 3 grandchildren? Yeah, I know. When I have all of mine here, it's crazy. I started to say why I had to postpone. So I went to the T-Mobile store yesterday, and I sat there and I decided I changed everything. My phone, my Apple Watch, everything. And walked out of there with better equipment and less money per month. So that's a really good thing. But I'm waiting to see how this internet does for this chat. So if it's lagging or anything like that, please let me know, because that's really important to me. It can't mess this up, because it is a little bit of a reduction in upload speed. And I wasn't sure how it was going to do. So let me know how we're doing. mark seam allowance. That's a really good idea too. That's a great idea, Amy. Using painter's tape to mark the seam allowance when it's further away than something you can line up with your stitch plate. That's really good. A lot of times, if you're in the center of a quilt or something like that, you could easily use that to mark, like if you're doing diagonal, like crisscross machine quilting, you could use painter's tape to mark off those straight lines and just boom, 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 and then go the other direction. Elmer's glue stick. I do too. That's great. I've used Elmer's glue for zippers, putting anything on. The only thing I have found is that Elmer's does gum up your machine a little bit more than some of the other methods do, but it's a really good it's a really good tool. Don't mind me. Oh dear, my brain is fried. It's been a long week. No lagging in Ohio. That's good, because I'm an Ohio girl, so I live in Temperance, Michigan now, but basically I'm still in the greater Toledo area. I just am over the line. Good. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, because this is really important. This has to not affect this at all, or I can't do it. So far, I'm pretty impressed. I have one more test to do, and that's my little bird feeder. If you guys, I don't know if any of you guys are friends on Facebook, but I have a bird feeder that takes videos when the birds land, and I can watch them, and it's really fun. And if the signal doesn't go out there to my bird feeder, that's a no-go. So, but I think it will. Kathy Ann said she bought the magnetic seam guide, but found that I use painter's tape more often. Yeah, and I'm not big on sticking a lot of magnets on my machine because it's metal and it could throw something out of alignment. I mean, because if the magnet is strong, it could pull on the metal parts. I was always told never to stick magnetic things on your sewing machine. It's okay to have them next to it. But my mom had a thing where you stick a magnetic thing for pins on there. And then someone told her don't do that. So I've never put that any magnet on my machines. Good, thank you, Amy. Appreciate that. Let's see, another tip. Okay, here's a craft one. When you are doing a t-shirt, well, it could be craft, it could be embroidery, it could be anything. If you want to find the center of a t-shirt to line up a design, well, you could do it with your iron if you're sewing, or you could just do it on your heat press, fold it in half, and heat press it just for a couple seconds, and then you'll have a line to line things up. So that works really well. I like that one a lot. Oh, sewing room thing. I told you about my vinyl portfolio but didn't show it to you. So I'm going to go get that because that's a good tip too. Oh, you're welcome, Ivy. She said thanks for saying them out loud. Okay. Whoops, I have to go this way. I don't want to bump the camera again. Okay, I'm going to stand and show you this, so I might be out of the frame a little bit. This is an artist's portfolio, okay? So what I do, it's top loading, and of course I have it upside down. Ah! Okay, it's top loading, and what I do is I use these pockets for large vinyl scraps. So like this is the black scraps that I have. I just put them in the pocket. And then here's purple, and there's some gray, blue. I don't know if you can see how I do that. You know, it's got lots of pockets, so you can do all your colors. And if it's a color where you use a lot, okay. Not sure why hang on guys, I gotta fix my camera. I don't think it was the internet. Something happened with my camera. One second, guys. Coming back. Okay. Let me make sure. Okay. I think that is okay there. I think my camera defaulted to 4K, and it goes to sleep when it's on 4K because it overheats. All right, so that is my vinyl portfolio. It's a good way to use scraps because they don't really roll up well. All right, sorry about that. And I have all kinds of problems now because I thought I had, at one time I had all these little things like that worked out. Apparently, I need to definitely get back in the swing and fix all that. So anyway, should be okay. The camera didn't have anything to do with the internet. My camera, for whatever reason, decided it was going to go back to factory settings. I have no idea why. So when I pulled it up, I didn't put it off of. It automatically goes to 4K, and that's too much. It makes the camera too hot, so it shuts itself off because it's too hot. So that's why I just went and flipped it down to regular HD without being 4K. And I don't think it doesn't change the picture that much. Yep, Brenda, that is definitely the picture that would come on as a kid. You're right, I had that too. Only, even the black and white ones with the circle in the middle, remember those? I had those when I was a real little kid. I remember watching President Kennedy's funeral in black and white on our old little set that was about this big. Interfacing. So if you have a heat press, you can put interfacing on with a heat press, and it lays nice and flat. And what I do is I have a spray bottle of water, and I will, because the heat press has no steam, and usually interfacing, you have to look at the directions, but most of them have to have steam to stick. I did in one case find out one didn't. But if you spritz it with water, put your Teflon sheet on top of it, and use your heat press, then it bonds and it's nice and flat, and it doesn't like crinkle up when you wash it and all that. It's a nice way to put interfacing on. Oh, good, Amy. Amy got a mystery box from Nick of Time also. That's really good. That's a great thing to donate if you get fabrics that you don't think you'll use. Um, Definitely. How do you get the chat on the side of your computer screen? I Mine does it automatically. Can anybody help Gail with that? Um, I've never not had it do it automatically. Is your screen, are you on a TV? Won't do it on a TV. On a TV you have to follow it along with your phone or something. Um, if you're on a computer, it'll automatically go on the side. And if you're on a phone or an iPad, if you have it horizontally, it'll go on the side. Otherwise, it won't pop up. Ah, that's a great idea. I love this, Amy. Iron on fusible interfacing to tissue paper patterns to make them more durable. That is a great idea. Like, I remember, when my husband was still with us, God rest his soul, I had that men's shirt pattern that I had done so many times it was getting like, I was starting to get worried about it. I was thinking I might need to buy another one. So that's a great idea. Okay. Turning the screen horizontally and minimizing your video screen. There you go, Gail. Brenda had a answer for you. It's a new Chromebook. Yeah, it probably just isn't set up the way that you need it yet. Just make sure that the video, has the little square in the corner. Make sure you have that so it's the smallest it will be, and then it'll come up on the side, I believe. All right. I'm looking around my room to see if anything pops out. Oh, a razor. I keep a razor in my sewing room. Like, just a regular razor. And I use it for, I don't really use it when I'm sewing, I guess, but I use it if I launder something and I have something that's kind of pilled up. If you gently shave it off the pills, you can make it last quite a long time. So that's another idea. Let's see. Anybody else have some more tips? Okay, let's see. She said she was sewing a Melody Dolman. I'm working on an apron for my granddaughter and the reading pillows. I'm also finishing the laundry day tees for my sister that I was talking about on Merry Monday. Here's one. I think this is going to be ideal for her to sit and recover in. Hopefully she's going to get up moving real fast. So I've got one of them almost done and one cut out and ready to sew. There you go. Zella says hit the live chat button under the picture. That works too. Next week, I'm going to be out of town, so there won't be a chat next week. Just a heads up for that. I am going to go down and see my sister, actually, in Virginia. So she's in the hospital, so I'm going down to UVA hospital to visit her for 2 days. And it happens to be, I get home really late Thursday night, so I'm not going to be able to do a chat. And Friday, I have a ministry to the other widows at my church, and we have a gathering at my house on Friday. So I think when I get home, I'm going to have to, get my house ready. Okay, let's see. Amy, have another tip? The eraser ends of 2 pencils to separate rotary cutter blades when there are several in a package. Great idea. I've also used, there's like a Cricut tool that has it's a point, it has a gummy on the end, so you can pick up little vinyl pieces. I've used that to pick up a rotary blade too. I remember I told you about those great rotary blades, and I picked up more than one accidentally, and it was cutting great, but it was like leaving a little like a little channel of, I'm like, what is this? And then I realized I had 2 blades in there. So yeah, make sure you only have one when you change your blades. They're nice. They're so thin that it's hard to tell sometimes. Yes, LDTs are great for surgery recovering. I like that tip. Very good. Here's one. Actually, have something in there that doesn't belong there right now, but this is from Dollar Tree, okay? Or you can get them lots of places. Little handheld bucket. And I have sewing needles and various things like that, scissors, anything that I need for hand sewing. So if I'm going to take something into the family room and sit down and hand sew something, I just grab this little thing. That's an idea. And they've got those all the time. I mean, I think I got that at Dollar Tree, but I'm sure, the Dollar General or even the grocery store would probably have something like that, especially right now for back to school. Most definitely. And Whitney, clean up the mess so when you return you start sewing. Oh my goodness, that's a great tip. If you are not going to go into a messy room and want to sew. It's another level of having to make yourself. So before you go to bed, you rip out anything that was a mistake and you clean up your space. And then you're starting with a fresh space and a good environment. Keep your environment good when you sew. So important. Because so for months this place was a disaster. I mean, you saw this much, right? The rest of it, well, if Priscilla's online, she'll tell you she was here. The boxes everywhere, and I was trying to sew with all that. And it was not fostering my creativity at all. Because I'd have to move 10 things to get anything. So if you're moving, set your sewing room up first. That's what I would do if I ever move again. This stuff is going out first. I thought I had put just everything I needed right away. Well, what that does is make the rest of the stuff you will need underneath all the other boxes, and you don't get to those right away, and it ends up being, it was a year for me to have my sewing room put together. So yeah, get yourself, it can be a corner, but if it's cleaned up and neat and a nice environment, open the window, whatever you need to do to make it really bright and cheery, it will foster your creativity. All right, let's see. Anne says, I use loose leaf to print PDF patterns. It's thinner and easier to handle. And it is cheap right now. You're right. Very cheap. That's a good idea. Now, do you get the kind with lines? Because I could see where that could be a little bit difficult to be able to find the lines, but that is a great idea, though. You can get loose leaf paper that doesn't have lines, but I think that's a bit more expensive. So I bet that would be good. If you have small pattern pieces like for a bag, I think I showed you before. If you use a cutting board from Dollar Tree, you can cut out a template that you can use over and over and over again. I don't have one right here, but it's just a piece of plastic about this big, and it's real thin, and you can cut it to any shape you want. In fact, if you want a kitchen tip, take that and cut it to fit underneath your kitchen appliances. I have one underneath each one of my appliances, so when I go to clean, when I pull, they just slide out and I can wipe behind them. There's no lifting the Instant Pot or lifting the coffee pot, or any of that. They're all on those cutting boards and you just pull them out. It's a good thing to do. For cutaway embroidery, use 2 sheets going opposite directions in the hoop to get Lowe's white landscape cloth. Oh, okay. Get Lowe's white landscape cloth. It's $11 a roll. Huh. Great idea. I'll have to try that. Recently, I realized that if you don't use cutaway, it's itchy. So I'm going to always use cutaway now for anything that someone's going to wear. Stabilizer. I got it. Yep. Took a few days and cleaned my sewing room. Yeah, that's true. If you come some kind of organization, like I said, it could just be a corner, but if you even have just little bins that you have things in and you know where things are, because that'll keep you from buying things twice, which we've all been there, right? Oh, I bought white bias tape. Oh wait, I already had some. Have you been there? Or, a certain color of acrylic paint, or, I went crazy on black Surgicones at one point because I didn't realize I had a whole bunch already. That kind of thing. If you have them in a place where you can look and see, it's much less likely that you're going to double buy things. So, is the chat quality doing okay with this new internet? I got to tell you, if this works out, it saves me $120 a month. So I'm hoping it works. I'm using right now the T-Mobile 5G network. It's normally $50. This isn't affiliated or anything. I'm not affiliated. This is just an opinion. I decided to try it. They told me I could try it for 2 weeks, and it uses the 5G signal, and it's $50 a month. But because my phone is through them, they took $10 off, so it's $40. And then because I'm a senior, they took another $10 off, so it's $30 a month for internet, which I don't think you can find anywhere. And my internet now, my cable internet, is $178 a month. So, pretty excited if this works. That's oversharing. I don't know, but just a tip, because it never hurts to try. And I like that they would let me take a unit home and try it and see if it would work. I told them if it doesn't work for my online streaming, I can't use it. And he said, well, it's a 14-day trial, and you don't even sign up for anything until it works. So good. Oh, thank you, Dee. I appreciate that. Dee said it looks sharper. Maybe I just got it in better focus today. Buy a roll of painter's tape and label containers. Wonderful idea. Yep, or get yourself one of those chalk pens, and at Dollar Tree they have chalk labels that are cut in all kinds of shapes. that you can put on things and mark what's in the container. That works too. So I enjoy stuff like that. I've learned a lot so far today. I don't know about you. Trying to think if there's anything else projector wise that I can't think of any. Oh, I know one. It's a big one. It's not projector related, it's embroidery related, but I just realized, so I use Brilliant software. And when you pull your design that you're going to do in there, I always do that no matter whether I just buy the design. I don't ever just stitch out a design I bought. I pull it in there and I look and see this stitch count and make sure that there's no areas where there's a whole bunch of stitches, where there's a bunch of density, because that's what makes it your machine kind of tie up. And also when you're hooping something, so in Brilliance we'll put a basting stitch around your design, which is great because then you know what you have to keep free of anything rolled up or anything. So I love that about Brilliance. Picture's fuzzy. Okay, thank you, Anne. That could be something. Let me make sure that isn't. Oh, I am fuzzy right now because I leaned forward. Maybe because I'm moving so much, the camera autofocus. You're right. It's focusing behind me right now. Okay, I gotta fix this. It went to. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Now it's focused on me. I'll troubleshoot that later. Okay. Bought new pins. That's a good one. Diane says she just bought new pins. She hadn't realized how dull they had become. Yeah. Oh, I hate that when your pins are dull and then you gotta knit and it's kind of, makes it run or something. I don't like that. If they've been on the floor, or I throw them out if they're not performing. Oh, thank you very much, Jean. The picture's clear, I guess. So I was out of focus though for a little bit there, and I'm not sure why. I don't know what my camera was doing. I had all my settings set on that camera, and then it put itself back to factory settings. So I didn't get a chance to. I realized that while the countdown was going, of course. So I had to just quickly put things in there. So I'll just troubleshoot that and figure that out before the next chat. New pin. I'm going to make sure this one goes up on the screen as well, the new pins. All right. Any other tips before I can't believe it's actually been almost an hour already. It's crazy. So Monday I'll have the Merry Monday up for this next week. And then I'll hopefully have a video up Thursday, but there will not be a chat because I will be out of town. But I will have something lined up. And then after that, I don't think there's anything that I'm leaving for. Of course, I didn't know I was going to go to Virginia until a couple days ago. I just made the decision that I wanted to see my sister. I haven't seen her in a lot of years, and for various reasons, nothing to do with how much we wanted to see each other. We are very close. It's just have not been able to see her. So this is the sister whose husband died 6 days after mine did. So she's very, very sick, and I just want to go see her. So I made my mind up and booked the trip. So yeah. So hopefully that'll be a good tip. Yeah, I think it was a camera issue for sure. I think it had to do with the fact that I didn't have my usual settings set up on that camera. There's all kinds of autofocus settings, and they were kind of all disabled. So, they were all put back to factory. Thank you very much, Ivy. Diane, I look forward to the Merry Mondays too. I keep writing down ideas. This one will be the aprons. The reading pillows will be coming. I want to do at least one cardigan. Might do like a hoodie. I think because those make good Christmas gifts. I am looking at some table runners for my Christmas table that I may throw in there as a Merry Monday. That might be a 2-part. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it is making me think about getting my Christmas sewing done. So that's good. So anyway. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you in the next one. Happy sewing. God bless you all.